The Galactic Senate Chamber was the largest structure ever built by intelligent beings. It floated in the empty space between three spiral arms of the galaxy, stationed so massive that small moons could fit inside its central hall. Today, representatives from 2,000 spacefaring civilizations filled its seats. They came in all shapes and sizes. Some breathed oxygen. Some breathed methane. Some did not breathe at all. But they all shared one thing in common. They were all watching the central platform with nervous eyes. High Commander Vrex of the Vethkari Empire walked slowly toward the speaker's circle. His footsteps echoed through the massive chamber. He stood 9 feet tall, covered in black armored plates that his species had evolved over millions of years. His forearms were folded behind his back. His compound eyes reflected the light of 1,000 holographic displays. He looked like a nightmare given physical form, and he knew it. He enjoyed it. The Vethkari had ruled half the galaxy for longer than most species had existed. Their empire stretched across 40,000 star systems. Their war fleets had crushed rebellions, conquered civilizations, and erased entire species from existence. When the Vethkari spoke, the galaxy listened. When the Vethkari were angry, the galaxy trembled. Today, Commander Vrex was very angry. He reached the center of the platform and turned to face the assembled delegates. The chamber fell completely silent. Even the translation systems seemed to hold their breath. 3,000 years ago, Vrex began, his voice carrying to every corner of the massive hall. My ancestors discovered a small blue planet on the edge of the galaxy. The creatures living there were primitive. They had not yet learned to work metal. They fought each other with sticks and stones. They were barely worth noticing. He paused and let his gaze sweep across the audience. But my ancestors were thorough. They saw that these creatures, these humans, had potential. Not much, but enough to be dangerous one day. So they decided to eliminate the problem before it could grow. A holographic display appeared above his head showing ancient battle recordings. Primitive humans running through burning forests. Vethkari soldiers hunting them through mountains and caves. It was not a war. It was an extermination. But these humans proved difficult, Rex continued. They hid. They adapted. They refused to die quietly. The campaign that should have taken 1 rotation of their planet instead took 50, and still they survived. The recordings showed human faces. Terrified, desperate, but defiant. Men and women who knew they were going to die, but refused to stop fighting. Eventually, my ancestors grew tired of chasing vermin through caves. They offered an armistice, not out of respect, but out of impatience. They had better things to do than hunt primitives forever. The humans accepted, and the Vethkari left their worthless little planet alone. Vrex raised one of his forearms, and a document appeared in the holographic display. It was ancient, written in a language few species could still read. The Armistice Agreement between the Vethkari Empire and the human species. That was 3,000 years ago. My ancestors believed they could return and finish the job whenever they wished, but time passed. Other matters demanded attention. The humans were forgotten. He paused again, and when he spoke, his voice was filled with cold fury, until now. His armored fist closed, and the holographic document shattered into 1,000 pieces. The Vethkari Empire formally declares war upon the species known as humanity. We will complete what our ancestors began. We will burn their planet. We will hunt their survivors. And this time, there will be no armistice. What? The chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted in dozens of languages. Some demanded order. Some demanded explanations. Some simply screamed in fear. War declarations were rare in the modern galaxy. The last one had been over 800 years ago, and the Vethkari had never lost a war they started. Through the chaos, 1,000 eyes turned toward one section of the chamber. The human delegation. Every species knew where the humans sat. They had joined the Galactic Senate only 200 years ago. Emerging from their corner of the galaxy with slow ships and simple technology, they were considered a minor species, barely worth noticing. They kept to themselves, asked few questions, and never caused trouble. Most delegates forgot they existed. Now everyone remembered the human section contained only 5 seats, and only one was occupied. A woman sat there, dressed in simple gray clothing. Her black hair was tied back from her face. Her dark eyes were calm. Her name was Yuki Tanaka, and she held the title of Director of Human External Relations. She did not look afraid. She did not look surprised. She did not look anything at all. Commander Vrex pointed one long arm toward her. Does the human representative wish to respond? Perhaps beg for mercy? The chamber fell silent again. Every eye focused on the small human woman. Director Tanaka stood slowly. She was short compared to most species in the chamber. She looked fragile, breakable. The Vethkari commander towered over her even from across the room. She smiled. It was not a nervous smile. It was not a frightened smile. It was the smile of someone who had just heard a joke that only she understood. The United Human Confederacy acknowledges the Vethkari Declaration of War, she said. Her voice was quiet, but the chamber systems carried it clearly to every delegate. We accept. A murmur of confusion rippled through the assembly. They had expected terror. They had expected pleas. They had not expected acceptance. Director Tanaka reached into her pocket and pulled out a small device. She typed something quickly, then put it away. What are you doing? Commander Vrex demanded. Sending a message, she replied calmly. We have someone who will explain what your declaration means. They should arrive shortly. The Vethkari commander laughed. It was an ugly sound, like metal scraping against metal. You think reinforcements will save you? What could your primitive species possibly send? Tanaka's smile did not waver. You will see. Other delegates called out questions. They wanted to know what humanity was planning. They wanted to know if there would be negotiations. They wanted to understand why this small woman was not afraid. She answered none of them. She simply stood in her place, hands folded in front of her, waiting. Minutes passed. The chamber grew restless. Commander Vrex began to mock the human representative, calling her species cowards and fools. His followers laughed with him, then someone screamed. It was a delegate from the Moradi Collective, a species known for their excellent vision. She was pointing toward the massive viewport that dominated one wall of the chamber, showing the stars outside the station. The stars, she whispered. The stars are wrong. Everyone turned to look. At first, nothing seemed different. The same stars that had hung in the void for billions of years, still shone in the darkness. Then they noticed. Some of the stars had moved. Not much, just slightly. Just enough to be wrong, Commander Vrex felt something he had not felt in centuries. A cold sensation in his chest, a tightening of his muscles. It took him a moment to recognize it. Fear? What is happening? Someone demanded. Director Tanaka was still smiling. Our representative has arrived. Outside the viewport, the darkness between the stars began to change. Something massive was out there. Something so large that it bent the light of distant suns around its edges. Something that had appeared from nowhere, without warning, without any sensor detecting its approach. Something that had been waiting. The chamber erupted into panic. Delegates rushed toward exits. Security forces mobilized. Alarms began to wail. Through it all, Yuki Tanaka stood perfectly still. Watching the chaos with patient eyes, the long wait was finally over. 12 hours before the Galactic Senate meeting, a small ship landed on an unnamed moon in an empty star system. The ship belonged to Keth Varanus, a journalist from the Delthani Federation. He had received an invitation 3 days ago from an unknown source. The message had promised the story of the century. It had also promised answers to questions the galaxy had been asking for 200 years. Who were the humans, really? Where did they come from? And why did they seem so unafraid of everything? Keth was not sure what to expect when he stepped off his ship. The moon was barren. No atmosphere. No life. Nothing but gray dust and ancient craters. But the coordinates in the invitation led him to a small structure built into the side of a mountain. A door opened as he approached, and lights flickered on inside. He entered and found himself in a room that should not exist. The walls were covered with displays showing information in dozens of languages. Holographic projectors filled the space with floating images. And in the center of the room stood a figure made entirely of light. "Welcome," the figure said. It looked human, but its edges flickered and shifted like a flame. "I am Archive. I am the keeper of human memory. You have been selected to receive our story." Keth activated his recording device. "Why me? Why now?" "Because in 12 hours, the Vethkari will declare war on humanity. And we want the galaxy to understand what that means before it happens." The journalist felt his stomach tighten. War. The word carried weight even for species that had never experienced it. "How do you know about the declaration?" "It has not happened yet." Archive smiled. It was a strange expression on a face made of light. "We have known for 300 years that this day would come. We have been preparing. But first, you need to understand our history. The true history, not the story we have told the galaxy." The displays around the room changed. They showed a planet covered in blue oceans and green forests. Earth, the human homeworld. 3,000 years ago. We were exactly what the Vethkari believed: primitive, scattered, afraid, when their ships appeared in our sky. We did not even understand what we were seeing. We thought they were gods. We were wrong. Images shifted to show the war. Villages burning. People running. Vethkari soldiers moving through forests like shadows. It was brutal and terrible, and Keth found himself looking away. It killed millions of us. Entire civilizations were erased in days. We had no weapons that could hurt them. We had no defenses that could stop them. All we could do was hide and survive. "But you did survive," Keth said. "The Armistice was signed." "Yes, the Vethkari grew bored of hunting us. They thought we would stay primitive forever. They thought we would remain on our little planet, afraid of the stars, waiting for them to return and finish the job. They were wrong." Archive raised one hand, and the displays changed again. They showed humans picking through the wreckage of crashed Vethkari ships. They showed humans studying alien bodies with primitive tools. They showed humans looking up at the stars with new understanding in their eyes. The Vethkari left us with two gifts. The first was knowledge. Their crashed ships, their abandoned weapons, their dead soldiers. All of it taught us things we would have taken thousands of years to discover on our own. We learned that faster-than-light travel was possible. We learned that other species existed. We learned that the universe was vast and dangerous. And the second gift, Archive's expression hardened. Fear. They taught us that we were not safe, that something could come from the darkness at any moment and destroy everything we loved. That fear changed us forever. The displays showed the centuries passing. Humans building their first laboratories. Humans launching their first satellites. Humans splitting the atom. We advanced quickly. Within 200 years of the Armistice, we had reverse-engineered Vethkari technology. Within 500 years, we had surpassed it. Within 1,000 years, we achieved faster-than-light travel. Keth leaned forward. 1,000 years? That is impossible. Species take 10,000 years minimum to develop such technology naturally. We were not developing naturally. We were developing desperately. Every human child grew up knowing that the Vethkari might return at any moment. Every human scientist worked knowing that failure meant extinction. Fear is a powerful motivator. The displays showed human ships leaving Earth for the first time. They were crude compared to what other species built, but they worked, and they kept improving. But then we made a discovery that changed everything. We found other species. We watched them from a distance. We learned how the galaxy worked, and we learned something terrifying. Archive paused, and when it spoke again, its voice was heavy with old sorrow. The galaxy is full of predators. Species that conquer. Species that destroy. Species that see younger civilizations as threats to be eliminated before they can grow. If we revealed ourselves, we would become a target. Not just for the Vethkari, but for dozens of other empires. "So you hid," Keth said. "So we hid. We developed stealth technology that could fool any sensor. We built our colonies in places no one thought to look. We spread across the galaxy in secret, watching, learning, growing, but never revealing ourselves. The displays showed human civilization expanding, not in a single direction, but everywhere at once. Hidden bases in asteroid fields, secret stations in the hearts of nebulae, entire cities built in dimensions that most species did not know existed. How many humans are there now? Keth asked. 4.7 trillion across 9,000 colony worlds and dimensional settlements. The journalist nearly dropped his recording device. That number was larger than most galactic empires. That number was larger than the Vethkari Empire itself. But you joined the Senate 200 years ago. You revealed yourselves. We revealed a small part of ourselves. A single planet with a few billion people. Primitive ships. Simple technology. We wanted to seem harmless. We wanted to watch the galaxy from inside its institutions. And we wanted to see who our friends were. Archive's expression grew cold. We also wanted to see who would celebrate if we were threatened. We were taking notes. The displays changed one final time. They showed the Galactic Senate chamber. They showed Commander Vrex tearing up the Armistice. They showed the delegates from dozens of species laughing at humanity's weaknesses. We know who cheered today. We know who secretly sent congratulations to the Vethkari. We know who has been waiting for someone to deal with the annoying little humans. Keth felt a chill run down his spine. What are you going to do? Archive smiled again, and this time there was something frightening in that expression. We are going to remind the galaxy why fear is an appropriate response to the unknown. We are going to show them what 3,000 years of preparation looks like. And we are going to give the Vethkari exactly one chance to walk away. And if they do not walk away, the displays went dark. In the sudden blackness, Archive's glowing form seemed brighter than before. Then the galaxy will learn that humanity has a very long memory, and we never forget those who hurt us. The lights came back on. The displays showed a countdown. 12 hours until the Senate meeting. Go, Archive said. Tell this story. Make sure the galaxy understands what is coming. Keth ran for his ship. His heart was pounding. His hands were shaking. He had wanted the story of the century. He had found the story of the millennium. The Vethkari home system had not seen a gathering like this in 800 years. 50,000 warships hung in formation around the ancient red sun. Battle cruisers the size of small cities. Carrier vessels holding millions of soldiers. Destroyer squadrons that could turn planets into burning rocks. It was the largest military force the Empire had ever assembled in one place. Commander Vrex stood at the heart of it all, his flagship. The Eternal Fury was positioned at the center of the formation. From its command bridge, he could see the endless ranks of vessels stretching in every direction. Lights blinked across the darkness like an artificial galaxy. Engines hummed with barely contained power. Weapons systems charged and ready. It was beautiful. It was terrifying. It was everything the Vethkari Empire represented. Status report, Vrex commanded. His second officer, a scarred veteran named Vex, stepped forward. All vessels in position, Commander. The fleet is ready to move on your order. Our scouts report that the human homeworld is defended by approximately 30 orbital stations and 200 small patrol ships. No significant military presence. Vrex made a sound that might have been laughter. 200 ships. We have 50,000. This will be over before it begins. The officers on the bridge joined in his amusement. They had all seen the intelligence reports. Earth was a single planet with 10 billion inhabitants. The humans had no colonies worth mentioning, no allies strong enough to matter, and technology that was at least 300 years behind the Vethkari standard. The campaign would be simple. Land forces, establish control, begin the extermination. 3 solar cycles at most. Set course for the Sol system, Vrex ordered. We move in 1 hour. I want every ship commander to understand our objectives. No prisoners. No survivors. This time, we finish what our ancestors started. The orders went out across the fleet. Engines began warming up. Navigation systems calculated jump coordinates. 50,000 crews prepared for war. Then the sensors detected something. Commander, the sensor officer said, her voice suddenly uncertain. "We have an emergent signature. Something just dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system." Vrex turned to look at the main display. A single contact appeared on the screen, marked with the universal symbol for an unknown vessel. "Identify it." "Working on it, sir." "The readings are strange. The mass signature is enormous, but the energy output is minimal. It is almost like the ship is not really there." More officers gathered around the sensor stations. The readings made no sense. The vessel was there, clearly visible on optical sensors now, but its other signatures were ghostly, incomplete. "Put it on the main screen," Vrex ordered. The display shifted to show the newcomer. Every officer on the bridge fell silent. The ship was massive. It was not shaped like any vessel the Vethkari had ever seen. Instead of sharp angles and practical designs, it was smooth and curved, like a teardrop of silver hanging in the void. Its surface reflected the light of the red sun in strange patterns. And it was large. Not large like a battleship. Large like a moon. The Eternal Fury could have fit inside it 1,000 times.
"Oh, what is that?"
Someone whispered. The communications system crackled to life. A human voice filled the bridge, calm and clear. "This is Ambassador Vessel Patience to the Vethkari fleet. I am Director Yuki Tanaka, representing the United Human Confederacy. I am here to offer you one chance to withdraw your declaration of war. You have 1 hour to respond." Vrex stared at the screen. One ship. The humans had sent one ship. After all his warnings, after all his threats, they had sent a single vessel to face 50,000 warships. He did not know whether to be insulted or amused. He chose amused. "Open a channel to the entire fleet," he commanded, "and broadcast it across the galaxy. I want everyone to see this." The communications officer complied. Vrex stepped forward, making sure his image would be clearly visible to every viewer. "Human vessel," he said, letting contempt drip from every word. "Did you really come here alone? Did you really think one ship, no matter how large, could stand against the might of the Vethkari Empire? Your species is even more foolish than I thought." The human woman's voice came back, unchanged in its calmness. "I came here to deliver a message and offer a choice. The size of my vessel is irrelevant. Your vessel will be atoms in 1 hour. That is my response to your offer." Across the fleet, officers laughed. This would make an excellent story. The arrogant humans coming to face them with a single ship. It would become legend. The hour passed. Vrex used the time to give speeches to his fleet, to remind them of their glorious history, to promise them victory and honor. The human vessel did not move. It did not run. It simply hung there in the darkness, waiting. When the hour ended, Vrex gave the order. "All ships, target the human vessel. Fire." 50,000 warships responded as one. Energy beams, plasma torpedoes, kinetic rounds, nuclear missiles. Every weapon in the Vethkari arsenal launched simultaneously. The space between the fleet and the human ship filled with fire and death. It was enough firepower to destroy a planet. It was enough firepower to crack a moon in half. The human ship did not move. It did not deploy shields. It did not activate countermeasures. The weapon's fire reached it and passed through. Every beam, every missile, every round went through the vessel as if it were made of smoke. The attacks continued into empty space behind it, hitting nothing, destroying nothing. The bridge of the Eternal Fury fell silent. "What happened?" Vrex demanded. "Sensor officer, explain." "I do not know, Commander. The weapons passed directly through the target. It is as if the ship is not really there, but it is there. We can see it. The optical sensors confirm it exists. Fire again." They fired again and again. For 10 minutes, the entire Vethkari fleet poured destruction at the human vessel. Nothing worked. The ship remained untouched, unmoved, undamaged. Then the communications system activated again. Director Tanaka's face appeared on every screen in the fleet. She was still smiling, that small, patient smile. "Your hour is up," she said. "I am going to show you something now. Please pay attention. I will not repeat myself." The display behind her changed. It showed the view from outside the Patience, looking back toward the Vethkari fleet. But something was wrong with the image. The stars behind the human ship were moving. No, not moving. Lighting up one by one. Points of light that had looked like distant stars began to glow brighter. They shifted colors from the white of starlight to the blue of active engines. They moved into new formations, spreading across the darkness like a wave. They were not stars. They were ships. Thousands of them. Millions of them. An armada so vast that it had been mistaken for the night sky itself. They had been there the entire time, hidden in plain sight, watching and waiting. "This is the third observation fleet," Director Tanaka said calmly. "They have been monitoring your home system for the past 600 years. Say hello." Commander Vrex felt his legs weaken beneath him. The sensor displays were going wild. Contact after contact appeared as the human ships dropped their camouflage. The numbers climbed higher and higher. 10,000, 100,000, 1 million, 2 million ships surrounded his fleet. 2 million ships that he had not known existed. 2 million ships that had been watching him for centuries. "This is impossible," he whispered. Director Tanaka's smile did not waver. "I told you the size of my vessel was irrelevant. Now, shall we discuss the terms of your surrender?" Commander Vrex could not move. He stood frozen on his command bridge, watching the sensor displays fill with impossible numbers. 2 million human ships surrounded his fleet. 2 million vessels that his sensors had read as distant stars. 2 million weapons pointed at his 50,000. It was not a battle. It was not even a threat. It was simply a statement of fact. The Vethkari fleet was surrounded, outnumbered, and completely helpless. "How?" Dex whispered beside him. "How is this possible?" "We scanned this system. We have been watching Earth for decades. There was nothing. Nothing." The human woman's voice came through the communications system again. Director Tanaka spoke with the same calm tone she had used since the beginning. She did not sound triumphant. She did not sound angry. She simply sounded patient. "I understand you have questions, Commander. Let me provide some answers. The display systems on your ships should now be receiving a data package from us. Please watch carefully." Every screen on every Vethkari vessel changed. They now showed a presentation that would be remembered for thousands of years. The first image showed a number. Population of the United Human Confederacy. 4.7 trillion officers across the fleet gasped. The Vethkari Empire had 3 trillion citizens spread across 40,000 star systems. They had believed themselves to be one of the largest civilizations in the galaxy. The humans had surpassed them while hiding in the shadows. The second image showed a map. Human colony worlds, 89,000. The map expanded, and expanded again, showing settlements scattered across the galaxy. Many were in places the Vethkari had believed to be empty. Some were in systems the Vethkari had claimed as their own. A few were in dimensions that the display systems could not properly represent. "You have been building for 3,000 years, Thex said, understanding finally dawning." "You never stopped. You never stopped," Director Tanaka confirmed. "But population and territory are just numbers." "Let me show you something more meaningful." The display changed to show a small asteroid floating in space. Human ships surrounded it. One vessel, smaller than the others, moved closer. "This is a science vessel performing a standard demonstration. Watch the asteroid." The vessel activated something. There was no visible beam, no obvious weapon, but the asteroid began to change. Its surface shifted. Craters appeared and disappeared. It seemed to flow like water even though it was solid rock. "What you are seeing is localized temporal manipulation," Director Tanaka explained. "The science vessel is rewinding time for that asteroid. 3 minutes into the past, the asteroid stabilized. Then it began to change again, but in the opposite direction. It aged. Cracks appeared. Pieces broke off and drifted away. In seconds, it looked millions of years older. Now it is being moved forward. 10 years into the future, the asteroid crumbled into dust. We can do this to ships. We can do this to planets. We can do this to stars. Commander Vrex felt his heart's beating too fast. Time manipulation. The humans had developed time manipulation. It was supposed to be impossible. Every scientist in the galaxy agreed that controlling time was beyond the reach of any civilization. The humans had done it anyway. But power is not what defines humanity, Director Tanaka continued. Let me show you what does. The display changed again. It showed the Vethkari homeworld from orbit, but something was wrong with the image. There were human ships in the picture, positioned around the planet. This recording is from 800 years ago, Director Tanaka said. Your homeworld experienced an unusual stellar event. A burst of radiation from a nearby magnetar that your scientists never detected because it never reached you. It never reached you because we deflected it. The recording showed the radiation wave approaching the planet. It showed human ships moving into position. It showed energy shields activating, spreading across space, blocking the deadly radiation. The Vethkari world continued orbiting peacefully, never knowing how close it had come to extinction. This recording is from 400 years ago. An asteroid the size of a small moon was on a collision course with your fourth colony. Your detection systems missed it because of a software error. We corrected its trajectory. Another recording. Another threat? Another quiet intervention by human ships that appeared from nowhere and vanished without a trace. This recording is from 60 years ago. A solar flare from your home star would have destroyed your orbital stations and killed 2 million civilians. We adjusted the magnetic field of the star to redirect the flare. More recordings followed. Dozens of them. Hundreds of them. Each one showed a different threat to Vethkari lives. Each one showed human ships appearing, solving the problem, and disappearing. Commander Vrex watched with growing horror. The humans had not been hiding from the Vethkari. They had been watching over them, protecting them, saving them from dangers they never knew existed. Why? He finally asked. His voice sounded strange in his own ears. Why would you protect us? We tried to exterminate you. We declared war on you. We have hated your species for 3,000 years. Director Tanaka's face filled the screen. For the first time, her expression changed. The calm smile faded, replaced by something older and sadder, because we remember what it felt like to be helpless. 3,000 years ago, we watched our families die. We watched our cities burn. We begged for mercy and received none. That experience changed us forever. She paused, and when she spoke again, her voice was heavy with emotion. We decided that no species should feel that fear, not even the species that taught it to us. We became guardians instead of conquerors, protectors instead of predators. We spent 3,000 years building the power to destroy anyone who threatened us, and then we used that power to save everyone, including you. The bridge of the eternal fury was completely silent. Officers who had laughed at human weakness now stared at their displays with tears in their compound eyes. The recordings continued to play, showing century after century of quiet protection. You declared war on your guardian angels, Director Tanaka said. But we are not angry. We are not here for revenge. We are here to offer you the same choice we offer everyone. What choice? Vrex asked. The choice to be better. The choice to join us in protecting the galaxy instead of threatening it. The choice to become guardians instead of conquerors. She leaned forward, and her eyes seemed to look directly into his soul. 3,000 years ago, you taught humanity that the universe is dangerous. Today, we are offering to make it safer for everyone. The question is whether you are wise enough to accept. Commander Vrex looked at his officers. He looked at his fleet, surrounded and powerless. He looked at the recordings of human ships saving Vethkar lives. Why reveal yourselves now? He asked quietly. You could have remained hidden forever. You could have let us destroy ourselves with our arrogance. Director Tanaka smiled again, but this time it was a different smile. Warmer, almost kind, because hiding is what frightened species do. And humanity stopped being afraid a very long time ago. We stepped into the light because it was time. Not for us. For you. For everyone. She straightened and folded her hands. You have 24 hours to respond. I suggest you use the time wisely. The screens went dark. The human ships remained in formation around the Vethkari fleet, patient and silent, waiting for an answer that would determine the future of the galaxy. The Galactic Senate chamber had never been so full. Representatives from every spacefaring civilization in known space had gathered. Many had traveled for days to reach the station. Some had chartered emergency transports. A few had abandoned important meetings on their homeworlds without explanation. No one wanted to miss what was about to happen. News of the confrontation in the Vethkar home system had spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The recordings were everywhere. 2 million human ships appearing from nowhere. The demonstration of time manipulation technology. The centuries of secret protection. Every species with access to communications networks had seen it. Every government was scrambling to understand what it meant. The seats reserved for the Vethkari. Its delegation were empty when Director Tanaka entered the chamber. She walked calmly to the human section and took her place. Her expression revealed nothing. She simply sat and waited, as she had waited for 3,000 years. Murmurs filled the chamber. Where were the Vethkari? Had they refused the human offer? Was there going to be a war, after all? Delegates whispered to each other in dozens of languages. But no one had answers. Then the main doors opened. Commander Vrex walked through them alone. He wore no armor. He carried no weapons. His 4 arms hung at his sides, and his compound eyes were fixed on the floor. He looked smaller somehow, as if the past day had taken something vital from him. He walked slowly to the center of the chamber and stopped. The room fell completely silent. 24 hours ago, Vrex began, his voice rough and tired. I stood in this chamber and declared war on humanity. I called them primitives. I called them vermin. I promised to burn their planet and exterminate their species. He paused and looked up at the assembled delegates. I was a fool. The silence deepened. A Vethkari admitting fault was almost unheard of. A high commander doing so in public was impossible. Yet here it was happening. For 3,000 years, my people believed we were superior to all other species. We believed that power gave us the right to conquer, to destroy, to take whatever we wanted. We believed that fear and violence were the natural order of the universe. He turned to face the human delegation. We were wrong. The humans proved that yesterday. Not by destroying us, although they could have. Not by humiliating us, although we deserved it. They proved it by showing us what they had done while we were not watching. His voice cracked slightly. They protected us. For 800 years, they protected us from dangers we never knew existed. They saved millions of Vethkari lives without asking for thanks, without revealing themselves, without demanding anything in return. They did it because they believed it was right. He lowered his head. That is true power. Not the ability to destroy, but the choice not to. Not the capacity for violence, but the wisdom to use strength for protection instead of conquest. Humanity understood this 3,000 years ago. It has taken us until today to learn the same lesson. Commander Vrex turned back to the assembly. The Vethkari Empire formally withdraws its declaration of war against humanity. Furthermore, I am authorized by my government to accept the terms of the Compact of Civilizations that Director Tanaka has proposed. A gasp rippled through the chamber. The terms of the compact had been distributed to every delegation overnight. They were revolutionary. No more wars of extinction. Protection for developing species. Accountability for atrocities. It would change everything about how the galaxy operated. We accept these terms not because we are forced to, Vrex continued, but because we finally understand that they are right. We have been predators for too long. It is time to become something better. He walked toward the human section. Every eye in the chamber followed him. When he reached Director Tanaka, he stopped. I have one question, he said quietly, though the chamber's systems carried his voice to every delegate. Why did you not simply destroy us long ago? You had the power. You had the justification. We tried to wipe out your species. No one would have blamed you for repaying us in kind. Director Tanaka stood to face him. She was small compared to the towering Vethkari, but somehow she did not seem small at all. Because we remembered what you forgot, she said. 3,000 years ago, our ancestors huddled in caves and prayed for the killing to stop. They swore that if they survived, they would never become the thing they feared. They kept that promise. So did their children. So did we. She reached out and placed her hand on his arm, a gesture of connection that crossed the vast distance between their species. We built our civilization on a single principle: the strong protect the weak. Not because it is easy, not because it is profitable, because it is right. That is what separates guardians from monsters. Commander Vrex was silent for a long moment. Then slowly he lowered himself to one knee. He bowed his head before the human representative. It was the first time in recorded history that a Vethkari had bowed to anyone. Teach us, he said. Help us become guardians too. The chamber erupted. Delegates shouted and applauded. Some wept. The impossible had happened. The most feared empire in the galaxy had knelt before the species it once tried to exterminate, asked to be shown a better way. Director Tanaka helped Vrex to his feet. She smiled, and for the first time, the smile reached her eyes. That is all we ever wanted, she said. Over the following hours, representatives from dozens of species came forward to join the compact. Some did so eagerly, having long wished for a galaxy where might did not make right. Others did so reluctantly, recognizing that resistance was pointless. A few refused and withdrew to their ships, preferring isolation to cooperation. Director Tanaka let them go without comment. Not everyone would accept the new order immediately. That was acceptable. Humanity had waited 3,000 years. They could wait a little longer. When the formal ceremonies concluded, Tanaka stepped outside the chamber to look through the massive viewport at the stars beyond. She was alone for the first time in days. A communication device in her pocket buzzed softly. She answered it. This is Tanaka, Director. The voice belonged to Archive, the AI she had spoken with many times during the preparation for this day. The compact has been ratified by 63% of Senate members. Projections suggest 90% adoption within 10 years. And the holdouts? Watching? Waiting to see if we mean what we say. They will come around eventually. Your approach was correct. Mercy was more persuasive than destruction would have been. Tanaka nodded, though the AI could not see her. Our ancestors made a promise in those caves 3,000 years ago. Today we finally kept it. Indeed. What are your orders for the observation fleets? She thought for a moment. Tell them to remain at their posts. The galaxy is still dangerous. There are still younger species that need protection, still threats that require watching. Our work is not finished. Understood. And Director. Well done. The connection closed. Tanaka stood alone, watching the stars that had once seemed so threatening to her distant ancestors. They did not seem threatening anymore. They seemed like possibilities. Somewhere out there, on a small blue planet called Earth, children were playing in parks. They did not know that their species had just changed the course of galactic history. They did not need to know. That was the point. Humanity had become powerful enough to destroy the galaxy. Instead, they had chosen to save it. And in doing so, they had finally